Hello and welcome to our audience, and thank you so much for tuning in. Welcome back to the MedAngle It's a Match series. And this is our specialty series, and and today we'll be talking about internal medicine, one of the biggest categories, one of the most popular ones, especially for IMGs. And I'm so excited to be joined by a great group of people here, and we'll be having a great conversation with respect to internal medicine. My name is Dr. Mohammad Azib. I'm the founder, CEO, and CTO of MedAngle, one of the largest medical education platforms in the Middle East, Africa, and South Asia, with over 80,000 members and over 90 million questions solved. MedAngle is changing the game for those who wish to be tomorrow's doctors with our innovative technology and massive technology platform. So, internal medicine. Why does it matter? What it like just everything that we need to know about it. We'll be hearing from two doctors who matched into internal medicine. And before we introduce them, I want to pass off to my co-host, Dr. Sayed Saad. Saad?
Thanks, Azib. So, hi guys, I'm back. This is Dr. Sayed Sadli, Vice President Operations at MedAngle. And today joining us are two amazing recently matched applicants, Dr. Aleena and Dr. Osama, who will be telling us everything from A to Z about internal medicine. So, without further ado, let's hand it over to Dr. Aleena and let her introduce herself. Dr. Aleena, over to you.
Hi guys, I'm Dr. Aleena Zahra Khan. My year of graduation is 2021 and I graduated from Islamabad Medical and Dental College. And then I applied for internal medicine and I matched in internal medicine this year at CarePoint Health, the own medical center. It's in New Jersey. And a unique thing about my journey is that um, I applied with my husband. My husband and I, we both applied for a couples match, and we both matched. Alhamdulillah, he matched EM emergency, and I matched internal medicine. So yeah, it's a good thing because we get to live together now, where our hospitals are like 30 minutes apart. तो ये अच्छी बात है कि एक ये मेन था कि हमारा मैच एक साथ हो जाए, get to live together and be a part of this together.
Amazing, amazing. So for those of you that don't know, we've actually had Dr. Ruhail, Dr. Aleena's husband, appear in an episode already on the It's a Match series, which will be linking either here or here or in the description, right? So do check that out later as well. Right. Dr. Osama, over to you.
Hi guys, I'm Dr. Osama Afzal and I graduated from King Edward Medical University, one of the prestigious medical colleges of Pakistan in 2023. I am a young graduate. The unique thing about my journey is that I matched this year in internal medicine uh, without any US clinical experience and without any step three. I matched at the Baptist Hospital of Southeast Texas. It's in Beaumont, Texas. The Beaumont is a small the city around 80 miles around Houston. So सबको पता होगा उस हॉस्पिटल के हवाले से. Okay, it's very popular that जो कि US clinics में ऑफर करता है. तो बहुत से लोग वहाँ करना भी चाहते हैं यूएससी. So that's a thing about me. Thank you.
Awesome. So let's kick things off. I guess we'll start with Dr. Aleena. So the first question is that how did you know? So obviously today's conversation is about internal medicine, and this is a field that interests so many people. So I guess I just want to know personally, if you like to really get into it, like what made you know that, hey, for me it's internal medicine. Like okay, मुझे यही करना है. You know what I mean? So let's kick things off with you.
So the reason for doing internal medicine is, first and foremost, it's a very vast field. There's so many options after residency, like there's so many fellowship options. So I think that was my main reason of choosing IM. I did have like interests in surgery. उसके अलावा when I was in med school, मुझे surgery भी अच्छी लगती थी, मुझे ENT भी अच्छी लगती थी, eye भी. But like for IMGs, I think IM is सबसे like they apply the most in IM, and IM is what they get as well. So for me, I was like, okay, I'll do IM, and then I like GI. I'm also interested in HEMONC. So the pathway to that was through IM. So my reason was first and foremost, okay, it's IMG friendly, and secondly, to get to GI or HEMONC, that's the way to go. So मैंने इसलिए internal medicine choose की थी.
Makes sense. So it's like a lot of people that in our previous conversation as well, we discussed like different series and different specialties. And I think for a lot of people, they talk about, fellowships and kind of other career prospects in the future. And we'll talk about this in conversation as well. We'll get to that in a little bit. Osama, what about you? What was your, reason for getting into internal medicine?
अकॉर्डिंग टू मी, जहाँ तक मैंने देखा है इंटरनल मेडिसिन को, जैसे डॉक्टर अलीना ने कहा कि उन्हें मेड स्कूल में, आई वॉज ऑल्सो क्वाइट इंटरेस्टेड इन स्पेशली आई ऑप्थेल्मोलॉजी. यू नो एट सम पॉइंट आई स्टार्टिंग loving eye. I was at some point I started I should quit my USMA journey and focus more on my career as an I focus on my as a career. In just in fourth year, I started loving eye. So the उसके बाद I even started training structure. Uh, you know, uh, uh, the new hospital, the eye department is the largest public sector department in the hospital. So when I look at that sector, so I was quite disappointed. So I leave my option for time being. So according to telemedicine, the thing I have learned that in telemedicine is a field where IMGs can easily match and I can easily prosper in the United States. Just like if you look at the telemedicine data, in the emergency medicine data, there are limited opportunities after residency. But if you look at telemedicine, there are a lot of opportunities so in which you can prosper. Apart from fellowships, there are also easy waiver opportunities, and you can also work as a hospitalist. There are very bundle opportunities after that, and it's especially that you can easily match. And being an IMG, and especially, you have a lot of career guidance regarding how to apply in telemedicine as cycle. Apart from surgery, and others other fields, number one, I consider that that research is very important part of math, but regarding internal medicine, research is not as much important as in other field like ophthalmology, neurosurgery, surgery, and like other fields. And most of the people match here without even zero publications. Some people do postdoc in internal medicine, but most of the people even match without zero publication. And in my case, I match without US clinical experience. So internal medicine is a field that is relatively easy to make, but not for all of the people, but for majority of the people, it is a field where people can easily match without any, some extra efforts in the form of money, in the form of research activities, and even in the form of scores. So I think that it's the field where people can easily match IMDs and people can easily prosper when they are completed the residency.
And
Okay.
there are more positions, like there are more seats for internal medicine.
Yeah, that's a good point. So let's talk about a bit more about, so obviously now we know about both of you and like why you kind of chose internal medicine. Some good answers here. So let's talk about now, for example, the audience would want to know more about obviously internal medicine's perspective, like specifics, right? So, let's talk about, what is categorical versus, prelim or preliminary, what does that mean? Let's talk about some of the average scores. Let's talk about some of the things that we know about the internal medicine career track, right? So some of the data, some of the statistics, some of the things that people should know about internal medicine. So let's put it two. Let's have Dr. Aleena, let's have you go first. Let's have you talk about a couple of things that you learned and about the data regarding internal medicine, and then we'll go to Osama. Sound good?
Can Dr. Osama start?
That's fine too.
I think he knows more about that.
Regarding categorical and preliminary trial, I just want to explain that categorical means that you will be trained only in the specialty for internal medicine for consecutive 3 years. You will be trained only in the specialty of internal medicine. When you talk about prelim, it's just like if you heard about anything like if I have some health exposure in Pakistan, if you want to go some like for the some allied specialties, like if you go for the urology or just like the FCPS of 5 years, first 2 years of general surgery and then 3 years of allied specialty. So it's just like that. Prelim year is just like that you will match and will be trained basic internal medicine training that is needed for that particular specialty. That's what that prelim medicine is was like that. If you want to go for another allied specialty, you must be triggered. It's a requirement. You must be trained for in 1 year in the field of internal medicine. Then you can go for allied specialties. That's like thing that when you go for rank order lists in an MRMP math, that is supplemental rank order list. Just like that, when you choose an advanced specialty, you have to submit a supplement rank order list for the specific prelim programs. Just like if you met a particular, just like if I match in Beaumont internal medicine at prelim position, there must be some program of advanced specialty which I will be starting after completing my that is near to that, so that your should be assigned. That's about prelim. So one more special prelim about one more thing that your contract will terminate after 1 year, and you can
1 year.
start also working in PGY2 position. So you have to set it on. If you have a pre-match prelim and not advanced specialty, you are partially matched. The term that are most confusing for the whole of what is mean partially matched. So that's like prelim, you have matched prelim or you have matched advanced specialty. So that's been partially matched. So you have to start PGY2 on your own. So that the spots are open after
Next year,
throughout
you
the
have
year.
to
So
apply again.
for PG again, no, you can apply that with the email. About my CV and letter recommendations, you can just email them. It's about the program. It's mostly they took only PGY1. They don't do PGY2 in a main match cycle. So you have to apply again. So it's a case when the program loses accreditation. So and we have to search it on. So it's less like that. Regarding match data, I was just going through that around 10,500 applicants applied this year and only 58.5% match. That's the whole that in all of the specialties. And regarding telemedicine, I think it's around about 60% match rate. You can confirm that I may be wrong, but you can confirm that it's as per I have read that it's around 60% match rate for US non-US IMGs and around 67% for US IMGs and 92 point something around US DO and 93% are US MDs. So it's around 0.8% fall in IMGs this year just because I think that making 7 pass fail have increased the number of applicants. So and skipping step to CS is also contributing because OET is relatively easy step to CS and making step 1 pass fail have reduced the hard work the people have to put to ace step with good scores. So that's something that they increase the number of applicants. That seats have not in proportion to the number of seats available for internal medicine. So I think that this has contributed to the drop 0.8% drop in that rate this year. So that's the thing that I know about the questions that you put on me.
Okay, makes
And
sense.
the top specialties for IMGs, US IMGs and non-US IMGs both is internal medicine.
Yeah.
जिसमें सबसे ज़्यादा लोग match हैं.
Yep, that's
Yeah.
true. So to the audience, you heard it from Dr. Osama and also from Dr. Aleena. So we learned a bit more about that. But now let's get further into it. So thank you for that, Osama. I think that was pretty insightful for the audience to learn a bit more about just like what the difference between categorical versus preliminary. That was very comprehensive. So thank you for that. And then now we know a bit more about some of the data around it as well. Aleena, do you know anything about the scores, number of publications, some of those data points that people should know about?
Yeah, so like scores are important.
Yeah.
And kids are scoring so much nowadays, it's insane.
Mm-hmm.
And because step 1 is pass fail now, they judge you by your score, step 2 score. It's important to have a good score firstly. What else did you ask?
So I guess the audience always wants to know is that like when you're applying for internal medicine or other specialties, people just want to know kind of like what's really important, what really matters for this particular this match process for example, in this case, internal medicine. So people kind of want to know, the audience always wants to know, what is the most important thing when it comes to maximizing my chance of matching, if that makes sense.
So US clinical experience is very important. And what is US clinical experience? Your electives, what is counted as an elective, an observership or shadowing is not an elective. You when you're in med school and you go to America and you apply for an elective, that is the only time. Your 5 years of med school is the only time you can get an elective. If you're done with med school and you're like, oh, I want to do an elective, that is not counted as an elective. That is not a US clinical experience. So it's important to, if anybody wants to do USMLE, they should apply for electives during med school. 3rd year, get done with 3rd year, it's good. A lot of places they ask for, step 1. At my time, it used to be scores, but now it's like pass. If you've passed step 1, you can get an elective. So आप अपना step 1 clear करें और उसके बाद आप, apply for an elective, do as many as you can, and that is counted as US clinical experience.
Makes sense.
If you're done, if you graduate and uske baad aap matlab, of course, if you did not have an elective, it's good to go for, observations. Go do them, um, inpatient, outpatient, jahan pe bhi, you get an opportunity, go do it. It helps create, contacts. You get to know people. आप उस hospital में काम करते हैं. You get to know them, and this might help in getting an interview. And I've seen this happen, and it happened to me as well. आप जहाँ पे भी जाएं ना, just hospital में, the least they can do is, if they like you, they will give you an interview, and that's your, step into that whole match cycle,
Makes sense.
getting an interview. Yeah.
Okay. Osama, so obviously, Dr. Aleena talked about, the importance of USCs, but as we kind of talked about earlier, you matched successfully without US clinical experience. So I guess the question for you I have instead is, how competitive is internal medicine? For the audience watching, they want to know, like what is the level of competition? What should they expect? I know you mentioned the numbers, but generally speaking, from your experience, like what's your take and what's your perspective on the level of competition for matching into IM?
If you talk about competition, I generally believe that decision of taken to make step one pass fail and to permanent, step to CS को बंद करना, these two things have greatly appreciably increased the number of applicants, and they are still increasing, begin to rise in coming years. That's like when I talk about my med school, there are a number of I have to search out that which person have not done this step one yet, if he's in fourth or final year, even in third year. I have to search out in my med school that which person has not yet taken a step one. So it's the level of that in making first step one pass that has increased the number of applicants. Not in just in Edward, in other special in other med schools also. So you know that by it's increasing number of applicants each year would definitely increase the level of competition. And so when you talk about US clinical experience, that's definitely important. I would agree on that because when I applied applied this year in match, around 30 people, 35 people from my med school applied without USC and step 3 because we have you have to face a visa rejection just before the mass cycle. Their visa policy was very strict, and we couldn't get a valid B1, B2 visa, and we couldn't go for observation at step 3. So around only 2 people match without US clinical experience. Some people has to be accepted as an exception. Something has to set an exception. That's like that. If you look at the data, only 35 students from my med school applied without USC and step 3. That doesn't about only 7 to 8% if you calculate. So 2 to 3 about 35. So it means that US clinical screen is very important. It's an important part of your journey. And I agree with Dr. Aleena, it's a very important part. So I thought about myself, how I can match without US clinical experience. I think that my year graduation was just I was first graduate, and I was just standing with double. I've had excellent US assembly scores. So I think, and I this helped me, and being a med school from famous med school from King Edward, so I think that also helps me math. But I will discuss in detail opinions about applying to this specialty without USC, and they just encouraged me because they said applying. If you apply only in 5 programs, only in 10 programs, and you got one interview without USC, that is an achievement for you if you didn't match. So they just saying one thing: if you apply only for 10 programs and you got only one interview without USC, that is your achievement. So I took an initiative and I applied this year. You can get experience how the interviews are conducted, how you apply, and how you think, carry your things differently. So I believe, so if one was wasn't able to do his or her USC, he should apply at least for the match, even at least summer programs. But again, US is very important.
I would like to add to
Yeah, but
this.
go for it.
Year of graduation is also very important. So there are a lot of programs that clearly say कि हमारा cut off 5 years है. Some even say अब आगे जाके I've heard that 4 साल और 3 साल भी cut off करना शुरू हो जाएंगे. So it's very important to get done with your steps early. Like to all the students, watching this, I would just like to say, prioritize your step one exam uh, during like med school. Even step two, get done with both, and electives as well.
Yeah, that's a good point for the audience watching. Make sure you have the curve or planning. You're anticipating what's going to happen in the future, and the sooner you're prepared, the better it is, right? That's going to maximize your chance
Yeah.
of success. Because at the end of the day, if you're watching this video, probably your goal is to match successfully. And the advice you're getting
Yeah.
here, and that what we're learning from Dr. Aleena and Dr. Zahra here is that you got to be on top of your stuff and know what's going on. So next, I'm going to hand it over to Saad to continue with some of the other questions and get into the next kind of topic of our conversation. Saad, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Azib. So I feel like we've already, delved a bit into the next topic already. But so basically, we're going to talk a bit about CV building, right? And what things or opportunities people should focus on, especially if they're in med school already, right? And even if they graduated, people who are applying to this match or even the next match cycles as well. Right, so we've already touched upon scores, we've already touched upon USCs as well. So I'll just take it forward to, let's talk about research a bit, right? The short publications. So in your experience, and of course you can give your own examples, right? And you can talk generally as well. In your experience, publications, how important are publications when it comes to internal medicine? Right? If you could talk about that a bit. Dr. Aleena, would you like to go first?
Yeah. So research is very important. Uh, Having a publication is a plus on your CV. For example, fourth year में आपको community medicine में भी research कराते हैं. So I ended up adding that to my CV as well as poster presentation. उसके अलावा, I had like case reports that were, yeah, वो भी हुई थी. So I had like three researches in my CV, ERA CV. And the ERA CV in itself was such a hassle, and you needed to like sit down and उसको fill करने में ही now you have to fill out 10 experiences, and it's so detailed and it takes so much time. मुझे तो काफी time लग गया to understand कि ये मैंने करना कैसे. So yeah, research is important और मैंने डाली भी थी. What about you,
Amazing.
Dr.
So you
Osama?
had three
Yeah,
case reports, right? If I'm not mistaken, that's what you said,
yeah,
right? All right, and one poster presentation. What about you, Dr.
yeah,
Osama? How was your
Uh,
experience in terms of the publication?
Research is very important. I agree with you, but in my case, I got only four publications. One was a cross-section study, and three of them were just short communications. So regarding research, my what I think about it, the you know about 4 or 5 publications are enough if you are applying in internal medicine. If you look at the data, most of the people have only 4 or 5 publications on average. Uh, so what I suggest to my juniors or my colleagues, start working on research when you have started working on preparing for step one. You should take research side by side when you're preparing for step one, but not at the risk of compromising of your step one or step two school. They are much more important than the research. So by the time when you are in your final year of med school or in the 1 year of graduation, you should get around 7 to 8 publications. If you have started, with the step one, you should be able to get that. The basic purpose of research, I think, is not to just fill up a CV, but to make connections in the US. You start working on your research, first you make a group here and start copying articles. Then you start approaching people outside the Pakistan, even the US, and you start working on those people. You get an idea what thing happens in is happening in the US right now, but in which thing they are focusing, and you will start with connection with residents there. You start making hospitals there. When even you start working with them, they give them basic know about how what are the most important things in the and you start making connections, and that's really helps you in the interviews when you got after message. So it's just not filling out the just CV just for takes just buy some spots in the research. That's not gonna help you. That's not gonna help you because it's just your filling out section. So the thing I think that usually people ask me how to make connections. So I usually just start working on your research. That is the way that you start working on. This will help you make a lot of connections. So what I believe, so not only for the CV with the CV with portion of the CV of research, but start building connections to it. So that's for me.
Definitely amazing. Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of great insights in there. Number one being that internal medicine is, I think, which we can take away that it's not a very research heavy field, right? But
Mm,
like Dr. Sama said, it's a very good excuse to network, right? So that's something
Yeah.
the audience can definitely take
mm,
away. That research is always a great excuse to network, right?
mm.
And I think something from Dr. Aleena's points as well, right? That even the case presentations or stuff you do in med school that you do as part of your course, even that can go on your CV. I think that's very important to
It
understand. It
can,
depends,
and it
right?
should, because as a
Sure, right?
student, like what else are you doing? मैंने तो अपनी सीवी में जो जो मैंने med school में मैंने की थी चीजें मैंने वो add की, because like as a med student, like what else are you doing? That's your input to the community. Like if you're
Yeah,
raising funds for
Yeah.
like blood affectees or anything, कोई भी social work कर लिया, plantation drive कर ली, make your CV interesting. It should show your personality. Like if you like
definitely.
sports, if you like playing a certain sport, or reading books, or like baking or whatever, like just add it to your CV, show them, make it, it's very like black and white, you have to make it colorful somehow. तो कुछ ना कुछ जरूर उसमें add करें to somehow show your personality. कुछ interesting जरूर add करें, I would say.
Would you say that it completely depends on how you phrase things, right? How you portray things on your application overall, rather than what you've exactly done? How would you put it exactly?
it's it's more important to have meaningful things in your application, medicine related, वो ज्यादा जरूरी है, वो होनी भी चाहिए, you know this is the era CV after all. But yeah, मतलब आप एक दो चीजें, out of your 10 experiences अगर आपने 8 medicine related कर दी हैं, तो आप कोई एक अपनी hobby जरूर उसमें mention करें. You are not a robot, you are a person, human being. So please add that. And yeah, medicine related होना बहुत जरूरी है. It has to be medicine related.
I
Definitely.
just want to add something. I was a young graduate, so when I sat down and started working on my 10 experiences, I tried to make 10. And when I tried to, one of my, senior who was matched in 2022, R3, uh, he said me that it's not an obligation to complete 10, your 10 experience. So I just say you should not added fake experiences that you should be able to justify. For my I've ordered only 7 experiences. I wasn't able to add 10 experiences because if I add three, that would fake. That would be fake. So I wouldn't be able to justify when I was in when the questions are from there. I would just be able to justify. So BIT you can only add 5, 6, 7. In my I've added 7. So regarding unique Iraq series must be diversified. I agree. Like in my case, when I completed my step 1 and step 2 CK, I got an opportunity to teach students on online. So it was a platform, and I also there are some people who are struggling with PMDC exams to get license in Pakistan. So I also worked on creating an MCQs and written an explanation and taught those students. So I think and that also matters that I was also a contributing author in one book that create MCQs for the students that have been clearing the PMDC exam. So just like a unique thing about my CV, that it was medicine related, just like what Aleena told, but it was just something that doesn't help, it doesn't talk about. जैसे कि ये इतना हट के है लेकिन है तो मेडिसिन के रिलेटेड लेकिन इतना हट के
मतलब
है
ये मैं इस
कि
हॉस्पिटल गई, मैंने ये काम किया, it's a little
हाँ
different. You
डिफरेंट
helped, this was your contribution to medicine
हाँ
in your way.
कंट्री
तो वही मैं कह रही थी कि आप किसी भी, कोई आपने फंड्स इकट्ठे कर लिए,
हाँ
आपने मेडिकल कैंप्स लगा लिए, कोई भी आप, you should definitely take part in those, because they will be a part of your CV and they look good. तो होने चाहिए इस तरह के volunteer
होना चाहिए ऐसी
experiences are
बात है
also very good.
Yeah,
सारे एक
so
साथ मेडिसिन के डाल देंगे तो बात नहीं बनेगी सारे 10
definitely,
मेडिसिन के डालेंगे सारी बात नहीं बनेगी
Hmm.
it has to
that
be
would
an
sound fake
all-rounder. maybe, right?
Yeah.
All on experience. That would sound fake
Yeah.
if you are all out and medicine about medicine.
You
We
should
all
be
work
able
for
to
it.
talk
Yeah.
about it. You should be able to back it कि आपका experience कैसा था, आपने क्या किया, अगर आपने पढ़ाया था तो कैसे, because your interview, what happens in your interview is that, they have your CV in
Yeah.
front of them, और वो पढ़ेंगे और वो most meaningful कोई भी पकड़ लेंगे, कहेंगे कि आपने ये mention किया था, then they want to talk about it. So you should have something in your CV that, you can talk about. You don't want to just sit there, और उन्हें पता, obviously it's their job, उन्हें पता चल जाएगा कि ये बंदा झूठ बोल रहा है या इसने ये किया ही नहीं और इसने ये लिख दिया. Yeah, so
Yeah,
that
also
looks
they
bad.
have the experience. Yeah, they know how to read
Yeah, of
people. They've been
course.
for a while,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So I think the
Yes.
best takeaway would be that don't lie, guys. Don't lie on the CV.
Don't
It's
lie.
definitely important to phrase things in a certain way, but don't lie, right? I think that's
That's
Yeah.
important thing because मेरी मेड स्कूल ने जब एमएस मेरे अपलोड की थी तो उसको मैंने पढ़ा था लेकिन इतना डिटेल से नहीं पढ़ा था. तो उन्होंने
Mhm.
एमएस से मेंशन कर दिया कि he was an excellent baseball player. So when I was giving interview and they were asking, you are very fond of playing baseball, and I said no spontaneously, and he was just shocked. मेरी एमएस को मेंशन है, एमएस को मेंशन है और
Yeah.
कुछ उसका नहीं पता था और इस वजह से
Yeah.
वो इंटरव्यू तो अच्छा जा रहा था लेकिन वो वहां पे इट्स अ वेरी बिग रेड फ्लैग. इट इज अ लाई. इट वाज ऑन नॉट ऑन माय साइड बिकॉज़ आई डिडंट नो दैट दे मेंशन अबाउट बेसबॉल. So it's first that you have to know all about things, what they have mentioned in your CV as well as your MSP or in your personal statement. So in LOR,
Hmm.
you don't know nothing. But in CV and MSP, you should be know what they have mentioned about you.
Yeah.
All right. That was a new one. I've never heard that. So your med school basically technically lied on your MSP.
Huh.
I
Okay,
never heard that.
that's around a template. The student doesn't bother of reading that
Yeah.
template. That what they have mentioned. That there is one plane, and they added that schools in Pakistan doesn't have professors. They have write it down, but the student write it down, and they do not have much time math cycle, and they just copy it down from somewhere else, and someone written a baseball, and the student medical student doesn't give they've mentioned this. They have mentioned you get it signed, they upload it, and they are something they've mentioned, and you know about it. And when they have all, I was shocked. So that's a very awkward situation for me at that time. But I have to cover, but that thing that happened is a very big red flag for me. So I
This
think that
means
just
कि वो कहीं से भी कुछ भी पूछ सकते
कुछ
हैं,
भी पूछ लेते
MSP
हैं.
से, LOR से भी पूछते हैं, like, so um I read that you went to this clinic, how was your experience over there? Or you went to this hospital, how was your experience over there? So just don't lie, because they will ask you questions and you will have to back it up.
Okay, so since we're already talking about interviews and the marriage cycle, right? So I feel like this would be a good segue into the next section of this episode, right? Which is basically based on what the marriage season is like, right? So I'm gonna give it over to Dr. Azib, and he's gonna continue the conversation from here on. Dr. Azib, over to you.
Thanks, Sad. So, to the audience watching, you've been hearing about different perspectives. Now we're going to talk about the actual interview process. So first, I will turn to Dr. Aleena to tell the audience about what was your interview process like? So kind of guide us into how it starts off, kind of what goes into it, how the process kind of works, and then we'll hear from Dr. Osama as well. So Dr. Aleena, over to you.
So what happens is ERAS applications open up, and then you आप अपनी CVs करते हैं, and then आप apply करते हैं to programs. So the first 10 programs that you apply to are free of cost, and then every program that you apply to, it's $10 per program. It's very expensive. At the end of the day, if you're applying to 100 programs, तो वो अच्छा खासा वो होता है. So, and there's no guarantee that you will be getting an interview. Anyways, you get an interview from a program. Oh, and also you get to send signals. There's how many signals were there this year, Dr. Osama? 7?
Seven signals.
7 signals. तो जिन programs में आप most interested हैं, आप उनको signals send करते हैं, and you do end up getting interviews from those sometimes. So आपको interview आ गया, and now you get to choose a date for the interview. और वो भी online ही आपने schedule करना होता है, whatever date. So if you, for example, for me, if I've done observerships in a hospital, So I would want that interview to go very well because, those people already know me. So the first interview that I scheduled was from a place that I had been to, and I don't know, for some reason उन लोगों ने मुझे एक बहुत टाइम स्पैन दे दिया था कि इस डेट से लेके इस डेट तक आपने इंटरव्यू चूज करना है. So I wanted that interview to go like really well for me, but they gave me a slot जिसमें मैं सिर्फ उस ही में डेट चूज कर सकती थी. So that ended up being my first interview. जब वो मेरा फर्स्ट इंटरव्यू था, I did not know what to expect. I was like searching, YouTube पे कि कैसा इंटरव्यू होता है and all that. So I think that differs with every program. You don't know what they are going to ask you, but they will definitely ask you about your ERAC. Whatever you have mentioned on your CV, they will ask you. और वो program director भी हो सकता है, APD भी हो सकता है. You don't know who's going to like a few days before your interview, some programs send you an email saying कि आपका interview कौन लेगा, and some programs they don't even send that email कि कौन होगा, you don't know. So you should just be prepared. Like it always helps to be calm and collected, have a smile on your face, talk in a very friendly manner, and because they are judging that as well कि ये कितना how easygoing a person is. They don't want rude, arrogant people in their programs. So it's very important to, have a control over your nerves and come off as very calm and collected. So my first interview was like, I think it was the worst one that I had because I did not know what to expect. And उसके बाद आहिस्ता आहिस्ता like all my other interviews, I think आहिस्ता आहिस्ता better हो जाते हैं. So I would suggest कि if you are hoping to match, like if that's your number one, आप उसको सबसे end में schedule करें. I did not get to do that. तो मेरा वो वाला interview इतना अच्छा नहीं हुआ था, but it kind of varies. I want to know, Dr. Sama, कि आपका कैसा रहा interview? Like your first one, to be specific.
Thanks, Dr. Lina. I just want to add some few things. When you going to interview sessions, the thing that we focus in, that is to some people over practice mock interviews that when they talk interview, it's just like they have have crammed their answers. So
A
it should be
machine,
just
like
like
बस
that,
बोले जा रहे हैं.
machine.
Yeah.
So it should be some, natural, but it's okay for IMGs because they know that not fluent in English. But if you ask them, that if you ask both of us, that tell me about yours, the one basic question, and we were just like, we have just like, like read a book or write, when have cram a paragraph, and we are just speaking. But when you talk out of the way question, we just like stuck, and that's the thing that we should focus. But it's natural, it happened with me, and I believe that it happened with you as well when you talk, when you answer, tell me what is just fluent. That that you have just crammed one thing. And you talk to flow and you talk, but it happens. But not too over practice. Do practice, but not over practice. So the my first interview was at the program IMAS. My
Okay.
first interview was at the IMAS, and I believe that that was the first interview of my life, and that was all in English. And even I was not influenced in English at that time because I never been to any English speaking country, and I was just and I also made a blender in interview at the end. That's my first interview, and everyone made blenders, and I asked any option for improvement in my interview, and the associate program director, that was the senior most whatever interviewing me in that program. He mentioned that try to improve your English fluency. He just gave me one feedback. So I was when I told my senior, don't ask it again in any other interviews. So that happened. That it happened. So that it happens that you feel that the first interview is not going well. But in my case, I was totally amazed that when the match results came more than 15th of match, the program that I matched was the program that I interviewed at first. So it doesn't, they are looking at multiple things. They are looking at all over candidates. Just not like the one is fluent in English, or they have good scores. They are looking all over the candidate. That, but I still can't point out, but why they have selected me because the associate program director have given the feedback that is very, that I had communication gap, the person that is not able to talk fluent in English, how could such a person could fit in their system? So I don't know, but hopefully, and that was the program that was not even for in my geographic preference and not in my signal list. So just I was applied only in one program in Texas. I got interview from that program and I got matched.
That's really funny because for Dr. Aleena, your first interview didn't go so well, but we have the
Uh,
complete opposite. मतलब कि उल्टा ही हुआ ना for Dr. Samas. That's
उल्टा ही हुआ,
really
बिल्कुल उल्टा ही हुआ कि मैंने अचानक उससे पूछ लिया कि आप बताएं मुझ में क्या आप इम्प्रूवमेंट की एरिया बताएंगे ना, क्योंकि मुझे नहीं पता कि चीज पूछना है नहीं पूछते, क्योंकि पहले पहले इंटरव्यू होता बंदे को पता कुछ नहीं होता, लेकिन ही
uh,
गेव मी फीडबैक
yeah.
you should improve the communication, English fluency, but I just got अब बस नहीं बनती है.
Makes sense. So, one question I have
Yes.
for Dr. Aleena, or I guess whoever can answer the question, I guess the audience wants to know. You mentioned that, like the first X are free, and then you pay more and more. The more you apply, the more expensive it gets. Regarding internal medicine, how many programs would people typically apply to as IMGs? Do you guys, either of you know? You want to add some insight on that? Okay, लोग कितने total apply करते हैं programs में, on like generally speaking? Any idea?
I think 100 plus. It's very important as an IMG to apply broadly.
Yeah.
You have to.
That's
Like,
how
you
much-
don't have the luxury to apply to 10 programs and then you're
Right,
done.
right.
It's up to you. I know a person who applied in 100 program and also applied in 150 program. It's up to you. It's up to your internal satisfaction.
Okay.
Okay.
And how much
But
you can afford.
how much you afford? That's the point. How about doing for and what is the internal satisfaction? So I believe that average number of programs that I have seen people, there are around 140 to 150 programs, and that I think that I came to know that I taking when I started on the taking experiences from previous match applicants, they know that 150 is maximum that you can apply. अगर इसमें से नहीं आना तो फिर नहीं आना, फिर try to work on your CV. इससे ज्यादा में apply करना है तो you are wasting your money.
Makes sense.
They simply told me that.
Makes sense.
150 is enough.
Makes sense. Okay, so the audience knows that now as well. So one more question regarding interviews. So obviously we're gonna talk more about it, but did either of you notice anything specific that would be asked or covered with respect to internal medicine? So as you guys know, we do other It's a Match series for other specialties, and some specialties that they have their own questions, they have their own kind of way of doing things. Did either of you kind of notice anything specific with respect to internal medicine in interviews, or no? Was that not your experience? Any that stands out?
They always ask you why I am, and
Oh, okay.
you should have an answer for that.
Mhm.
Where do you see yourself in 10 years? They always ask that question. And you
Ah.
should know. Okay, for example, if a program has a fellowship that you are interested in, you should always answer that I'm interested in GI. I want to do it. So, because they'll be interested in like a long term, एक बंदे के साथ उनका चलेगा तो उनके लिए ही बेहतर है. So you should always answer that. If a program does not have, fellowships and आपको interview आ गया तो उसके हिसाब से फिर आप अपना answer tailor करें. You have to be, smart enough to answer those questions.
Makes sense. One more thing. Somebody want to add anything or no? Or we can move on.
I just want to add more clarify. If you they ask you what are your future career goals. They generally ask you, and I have been asked in 3 interviews of my programs. But I suggest that you first consider what type of hospitals is you have interviewed, at what location, it is in rural, urban, it is university affiliated or not. So you should add. If it is community hospital, they doesn't know about your research. They don't give, they do not care what have you done in your research. But if it is a community hospital, they just want that they want a hospitalist. They don't want a hospital that but in their setup. So if you give university, that total dynamics are different. They do see what is your research. Community has most of the what are your scores, and they do what is your research publication. So that's a part that you should be looking when giving your interview. So you should tailor your answer, but you shouldn't be an absolute कि मैंने hospitalist ही बनना है या कि मैंने fellowship ही करनी है. You shouldn't be absolute in your answer. Regarding interview skills, you should be prepared for your scripted questions, just like why you choose internal medicine, and that's but you should be prepared for some kind of spontaneous questions. Just like when I was, practicing interview with my fellow applicants, and what we used to do, we usually take an applicant form. We usually ask that any random question from our CV at the spontaneous, at a conversation, and we try to answer in a very professional way at that time in the front of camera. So that's the thing, that you should be prepared for scripted questions. That's like what I mean. But you should be prepared that they can ask you anything. Just like I told that I was just in an awkward situation. I should be able to handle that situation, particularly for interviews. And one more thing that I want to add, that I have seen into math cycle, that thing that more important in this math cycle is how you know people, how many people you know in US in different states, and how what are based upon what how मतलब कि आप कितने लोगों को कितने प्रोग्राम्स में जानते हैं. So that's is very important. So you should approach, because it doesn't help in getting the interview, it helps you how to prepare for the interview. So that's very important thing. But I suggest that you should start working उसी हॉस्पिटल में आप ऑब्जर्वरशिप करें या लेक्टिव्स करें जो जो IMG देती है, और वहाँ के जो हॉस्पिटलिस्ट हैं, जो इवन के जो प्रोग्राम डायरेक्टर, वो भी हॉस्पिटलिस्ट ही होता है. ठीक है ना. तो आप उसके साथ अंडर ऑब्जर्वरशिप करें, उससे एलओआर नहीं या किसी से एलओआर ले, जो ताकि आप उस प्रोग्राम इंटरव्यू करें, तो यू नो दैट प्रोग्राम वेरी वेल. इसके अलावा आप रिसर्च को तो कनेक्शंस बनाएं. और इसके अलावा जैसे आई एम graduate from King Medical University, so we have a lot of alumni that we can but that's not कि हर कोई आपको रिस्पॉन्ड नहीं करता, क्योंकि हमारे काम काफी ज्यादा लोग अप्लाई करते हैं. तो अगर आप किसी प्रोग्राम में किसी को जानते हैं, तो दैट इज एन एक्सीलेंट पॉइंट. so you should start working for on that part also, कि आपको मुख्तलिफ आपके कनेक्शन हो जो आपको इंटरव्यू से हेल्प ना करें, बल्कि इंटरव्यूज देने में कि वो क्या चीज लाइक करते हैं, क्या चीज़ उन्हें बोलनी है, क्या चीज नहीं बोलनी. जस्ट लाइक जब मैं अपना पहले इंटरव्यू दे रहा था, तो उन्होंने मुझे कहा था कि इस प्रोग्राम डायरेक्टर को ये चीज पसंद है, तो आपने इंटरव्यू इस सब्जेक्ट लेके आना है. तो दैट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. यू कैन गेट एन वेरी बेसिक नो हाउ कि वो क्या बंदा क्या चीज पसंद करता है, उसको क्या चीज पसंद है, तो आप उससे बात कर सकें. एंड ही रियली एंजॉयड इट दैट थिंग. आई थिंक दैट आई वांट टू सजेस्ट दैट आपको थोड़ी बहुत प्रोग्राम के अंदर थोड़ी बहुत नो हाउ होनी चाहिए, जिसे आप इंटरव्यू दे रहे हैं, ताकि उसको पता हो कि प्रोग्राम किस चीज पर फोकस करता है, और आपने अपने जवाब किस तरीके से उसको देने कि वो आपसे इम्प्रेस हो और आपको रैंक करें. तो दैट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट.
Makes sense. And then you touched upon one thing here where you talked about like baatcheet, like kind of knowing the people, etc. And I think one thing that people often ask about too is IMG friendly programs. So Dr. Aleena, do you want to touch upon like what Mina, like obviously someone kind of touched upon this, but do you want to add more about what that really means for the audience, like what IMG friendly really means? Or do you have anything to say about that?
IMG friendly basically means that, they take IMGs and you have a greater chance of matching there compared to and they're so like clear about it. The programs that don't take IMGs, they're so clear about it. Don't waste your time applying to those programs because आपका नहीं होगा. वो कुछ programs होते हैं जो लेते ही नहीं. So yeah, IMG friendly का यही मतलब है. And these New York is very IMG friendly, Texas is very IMG friendly. So like किसी ना किसी का कोई ना कोई senior तो होता है ना that has matched. So like उनसे पूछें where to match, where not to match. Do your research. Doing your research is so important at this point. You should know how to do it and where to apply. And another thing that I want to add about like interview is that, they can ask you anything. Sometimes अगर कोई, basketball season chal raha hai, they'll talk about basketball, football, anything. So, try to seem very enthusiastic about like everything. It's a part that you have to play. Yeah.
Makes sense.
And मेरे साथ जो हुआ था at this one certain program, एकदम से, we're having a conversation and they're talking to me about, where do you see yourself in 10 days? And ekdam se they're like, okay, what's the treatment of sepsis? So I was so taken aback by that.
Wow.
But yeah, because I had given step 2C के उसी वक्त like कुछ अर्सा पहले तो मेरे थोड़ी knowledge थी and no, but like they test you like that. They will do it. Not a lot like that. Not every program asks academic questions.
Yeah.
But, you should be prepared for it.
I was gonna
They
say, it
might
sounds like a
throw
Viva.
something at you.
It sounds like a Viva. Like,
Yeah.
what are your weekend plans? Okay, tell me the treatment management diagnosis.
Yeah,
That's funny.
and that happens, and they see how you like deal with it.
Yeah,
So, it's very important to like stay relaxed and, have your nerves under control. That's what I keep saying, कि बहुत ज़रूरी है.
makes sense. Okay,
Yeah.
for our last section, we are now getting close to our time, but for our very last section, I'm gonna turn it over to Saad. Over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Azib. So we already touched a bit about this in the previous sections, right? But let's talk about the scope of the specialty, right? What are the fellowship options? What different career
Mm.
paths are there once you complete residency? And even during residency, I believe there are different paths. There's a primary care track, there's a hospitalist track, veterinary medicine, right? So let's touch upon those just a little bit, right? So Dr. Aleena, if you would like to, start off this conversation, the
Yeah.
last piece of conversation that we have
So
tonight.
there's a 3-year residency, and then you have an option of applying to fellowships or, starting as a hospitalist. So a lot of people now, the trend is that people start as hospitalists because people are so tired of, residency, and they don't want to spend so much money again in applying for a fellowship. And it's so hard to get into a competitive fellowship. अगर आपको कार्डियोलॉजी पसंद है, तो डे वन से आपने कार्डियोलॉजी का माइंड बना के चलना है, एंड देन यू हैव टू यू नो start with another CV for fellowship. So it's hard, but of course if you want to do it, you should definitely go for it, क्योंकि आपका lifestyle बहुत tailor हो जाता है according to your fellowship. As a hospitalist, you can do hospitalist, you can do outpatient as well. Hospitalist is again, you're working 12-hour shifts. So if you want a better lifestyle, you should go for a fellowship. I actually want to do a fellowship myself. Let's see कि क्या होता है 3 years of residency के बाद where मेरा दिमाग कितना चल रहा होगा. But yeah, hospitalist is basically again 12-hour shifts, 7 on, 7 off होता है. So I don't know. I'll see what I want to do. Outpatient, you can do like hospitals के साथ भी आप कर सकते हैं. You can just set up your own like private practice and you can do that. That's very easy. Working in a hospital is, tough.
Okay, so if I'm understanding this correctly, there are technically two major options, right? Number one, you either do a fellowship, or number two, you either do a hospice, yeah, or outpatient job, and then number three, where you
Yeah,
do combination of both, right?
a
So for the
combination.
audience, if either of you could, list down the kind of fellowship options there are after internal medicine, right? Dr. Sama, Dr. Reena,
There's
you could do that, yeah.
Yeah, there's so many: GI, cardiology, hem-onc, rheumatology, I don't know और क्या क्या बहुत सारी होती हैं. Dr. Sama, help me out.
I call that it's cardiology, gastro, hem-onc, nephro,
Yeah.
infectious disease, pulmonary critical care, endocrinology, rheumatology. These are all the fields, or might be some others, but you know, the list is extensive. But these are things that these are special, some specialties are coming in my mind. So you can offer anything, and it's not about you. It's about the program at which you had matched. So they first, you have to, you cannot. So I can be frank that you cannot get all the things that you dreamt of in your life. That's reality. That's reality. So you have to see your conditions. So I believe that if you, it's not the way you are. It's about the conditions in which you can perform your best and got an opportunity, and the fellowship is just like that. All thing about like that. What I mentioned, if you match at a program that is not good at fellowship rate, and you are starting on cardiology or gastroenterology, I hope that you can, because some days can be exception, but on ground reality, it's gonna be tough for you. So
It's very tough.
before and career for after internal medicine, just be sure what is the status of your program and fellowship. So you should be just aware of. So टॉकिंग आपको इस चीज का पता होना चाहिए कि आपका प्रोग्राम न्यू है और आप पहला बैच है फेलोशिप, तो आपको नहीं पता कि आपका क्या हाल होगा फेलोशिप के अंदर. अगर मैच अप्लाई करेंगे तो फेलोशिप क्या, क्योंकि आप पहला बैच प्रोग्राम न्यू है. एक ऐसा प्रोग्राम है जैसे very famous program you can took Cook County, Brookdale, or some university program like Albany Medical School, like that are very good in cardiology. Cardiology fellowship, so you can get match because they are very strong luminary, they are strong imaging card. But that other thing that matter most, that most of the IMG, non-US IMG are on J1 visa or H1B visa. And in order to go a complete fellowship, they mostly take people that have a permanent green card holders or they are citizens, American citizens. That's a big reality. कि J1 के बाद आपको J1 फेलोशिप मिल जाती है, लेकिन आपको ये भी देखना होता है कि आपको J1 के अंदर वो जो प्रोग्राम है वो बेशक अपने अच्छे बने कैंडिडेट्स उन्होंने ग्रीन कार्ड होल्डर्स लेने हैं तो उन्हें आपको नहीं लेना। अब बेशक जितने मर्जी अच्छे कैंडिडेट्स उन्होंने स्पॉन्सर नहीं करना बेशक उन्होंने लिख दी है जस्ट लाइक एससी प्रोग्राम्स दैट यू टेक आईएमडी दैट यू गो इन सोप इन इंटरनल मेडिसिन रेजिडेंसी दैट यू टेक आईएमडी जस्ट लाइक दैट। आप जितने मर्जी अच्छे कैंडिडेट हों, अगर उन्होंने ग्रीन कार्ड होल्डर्स नहीं लेने तो उन्हें नहीं लेने। और सो अगर ग्रीन कार्ड होल्डर्स लेने हैं तो उन्होंने विद स्पॉन्सर आईएमडीज नहीं लेने, बेशक उन्होंने लिखा हुआ है। तो यू शुड बी एबल टू यू नो देखना है कि वो प्रोग्राम क्या चीज डिमांड करते हैं स्पेशलिटी आपसे। तो इस तरीके से आपने अपने वर्क क्लियर करना है कि अगर आप एक फेलोशिप के बाद लेने के चक्कर में पड़ गए कि मैंने कार्डियो ही करनी है और आप उस पर सारा काम किया और उस पर काम करते करते ग्रीन कार्ड को 3 से 4 साल बीत गए, जितना आपका गैप बढ़ता जाएगा उतना ही आपका चांसेस कम होते जाएंगे। तो आपको आपकी जिंदगी के अंदर you are not getting all the things you want in your life. There's that tough ground reality that everyone has to accept. So you should tailor your choices according to the condition in which you are existing.
Sorry to cut you off. And I've heard that getting a fellowship is even harder than, getting a residency. It's बहुत ज़्यादा competitive है.
So what I'm getting away from this is obviously that there are a lot of factors that one has to consider when they're thinking about fellowship, especially after internal medicine, because there's a lot of
Yeah.
different fields, and the program you match into for residency also weighs a lot into where you might be doing a fellowship or what you might be doing a fellowship in. That's why I feel like obviously this is
Yeah.
beyond the scope of the current series. We're focusing on the residency right now. That's
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
going to table for a later conversation. Maybe 3 years down the line, we sit back
Yeah.
here. We can talk
Yeah,
about
hopefully.
validation, internal medicine, right? So there
Yeah.
is that. But for tonight, I feel like Dr. Aleena and Dr. Sama, you guys have been absolutely great. Thank you so much for joining us and telling the audience about internal medicine. Before we conclude, is there any advice that you have for upcoming match applicants? Dr. Aleena, we'll start with you.
Okay, yes. Advice यही है कि focus on your exams for now. If you're in med school, please start studying. It's hard. I know it's hard studying in school, but you have to do it because like year of graduation matters too much, and then after med school, it's very hard to continuing that routine of studying. It's hard. So please, kids, study while you're in school. It's very important, and your scores are very important. That's what I want to say. That those 3 numbers, they really do define you. So just give it your all for now. It will be worth it. And secondly, I want to say that apply broadly for visa requiring applicants. It's very important to apply broadly. आपके पास वो luxury नहीं है कि आप कम programs में apply करें और आपका हो जाए. It doesn't matter. It's just 3 years. Even if you're going to South Dakota, it doesn't matter. At least you matched. You just have to get into the system. That's it. So yeah, good luck
Yeah, a
to
friend of
everyone.
mine matches South Dakota. I have to ऐसे बोलने ऐसे बहुत बुरा है.
No. I mean, it's like it's not it's not New York, or it's not please.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I don't mean to offend
It's
anyone.
okay. I'm kidding.
Like,
But
okay,
yeah,
I'll
great
change
insights.
the state.
Great insight from Dr. Aleena, though. Definitely start studying early, right? As
Yeah, it
someone
doesn't matter if you match in Alaska. It's fine. I'm changing the
you
state.
matched. You matched.
You matched. That's it.
Yeah, definitely. But one thing I would like to stress on myself as well, right? That as someone who gave both steps in med school, I'm very glad I don't have to worry about an house job. Take care. I'm gonna go straight to applying
Yeah.
now. Dr. Aleena की बात सुनो,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Dr. Osama, is there any advice you would like to give to upcoming applicants?
So before, do you have done with both steps during med school? Dr.
Yeah.
Saad, you have
Yes,
done
I
those.
have both.
So
Step 2,
good.
yes.
I was also studying at your point back 1 year back. I was just done with CK, my final year med school. So that's great. Dr.
Amazing.
Saad, I just want to add one more thing that stop preparing for step 1. But also, I've mentioned go for research activities like 1 or 2 hours there, but not at the extent of the step score. They are very much important. That's like Aleena mentioned. And if you have faced a setback like a visa situation that I have faced in my last year. You are very disappointed at that time that you have done so much hard work, skip your gathering, and family का आपको हर चीज मिस करनी पड़ती है MBBS के साथ stress manage करते करते you have to face a lot of things. You know what you have done, but does get disappointed. Do apply for the match that I have applied, even without USA in step 3, and focus on Iraq Save It today. And one thing I've mentioned that always true to yourself in your Iraq saving. Always true. Don't bluff. Don't bluff. If you have written personal statement, it should be your reflection. It should some other reflection because they are very, expertise in judging the person. If you have written a personal statement and they have like that is not the person we have been looking for. The personal statement is like another person. This is another person. So that's not going to help you. So your personal statement should be the reflection of yours, not others. Some people got it brought down personal statement for someone else got it fit. So you should be very much clear in your personal statement. So that's the thing that I would suggest.
Personal statement is where you can, talk about anything that
Yeah.
that inspires you or whatever. So I agree with Dr. Osama that your personal statement is one thing that can, really that might get you an interview. Sometimes
Absolutely.
it does.
Absolutely. So to both of you, to both of our guests, Dr. Osama Afzal and Dr. Aleena Zahra, thank you so much for doing this. To the audience watching, this has been yet another episode of the MedAngle It's a Match series. And this is our different kind of thing for different specialties. So this was all about internal medicine. So to the audience that's watching, hope you guys learned something. MedAngle has other episodes as well. You can check out on our YouTube. You can check out MedAngle on social media, on our website, medangle.com, on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, X, Threads, we're everywhere you can find us. And we hope you learned something. So on behalf of the entire MedAngle team and community, congratulations to both of you. And thank you so much for your time and being here today to share your insights and your wisdom with your experience in successfully matching. So once again, congratulations from all of us. We can't wait to see what you accomplish in your careers, and we hope you go on to become outstanding, wonderful, kind doctors. And to touch upon what Osama said, I say it the other episode as well. The truth is all we have. So yes, that's good advice. Don't lie on your interviews. Don't bluff things. Don't make things up because the truth at the end of the day is all we have. And that's what we operate on as a species as well. So thank you so much for your time. To the audience, we'll see you in the next episodes. And that's a wrap for today. Thank you so much.